Hello everyone. I am Dr. Mohammad Asif, Assistant Professor at Banasidas Chandiwala Institute of Physiotherapy. On behalf of Banasidas Chandiwala Institute of Physiotherapy, I would like to welcome you all to the Alumni Talk series. We are here to discuss on-field musculoskeletal assessment and fitness testing of an athlete. Today with us, we have a renowned sports physiotherapist, Dr. Somya Jyoti Haldar. Thank you, Dr. Somya, for joining us. Our guest Dr. Somya is presently working with Indian Allied Women Boxing Team and is specially assigned for Olympic medalist MC Mary Kom for Tokyo Olympics 2021, where at the start of his career he worked with Indian national wrestling team and later joined Indian national shooting team. He was assigned as an official physiotherapist for various international tournaments and training camps, particularly 21st Commonwealth Games 2018, Gold Coast, Australia Asian Open Games 2018, Jakarta, Asian Boxing Olympic Qualification Tokyo 2020, Jordan, and IBA Women Boxing Championship 2019, Russia. He is very passionate learner and believes to deliver his best when it comes to treat and facilitate rehabilitation among athletes. I appreciate on behalf of BCIP his admirable work done in the field of sport physiotherapy. Now I would like Dr. Somya to take over the session and enlighten us with the on-field musculoskeletal assessment and fitness testing of an athlete. So, Dr. Somya, kindly proceed.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So I'm going to share the screen.
सौम्या आपको विजिबल है आसिफ की स्क्रीन?
Yes, sir, can you please move forward? Just next slide. Hello. Yeah. Thank you. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes,
Hanji.
Soumya. Yes.
Okay. So the purpose of musculoskeletal examination, the main purpose is that just to identify the any arthrokinetic discrepancies in the joint line, any muscular structure, anything, and to assess the strength and coordination. And the purpose of examination also to check that there is any neuromuscular control. And with the help of this examination, we can find out any risk or any injury risk or if there is chances of any risks in future during the training or competition. So with the help of this examination, we can make out the plan for the rehabilitation after injury, or we can also make the strength and conditioning training plan during the time of training also. So basically the purpose of examination is to identify is there any biomechanical fault or any muscular injuries present in the athlete or not. He or she is having. And there are basically 6 to 7 components we use to check in the athlete. The components are flexibility, muscular endurance, power, agility, strength, then BMI, basic metabolic index, body composition analysis, BCA. So if you check all these components in an athlete, so we can identify the risk of injury, we can identify any deficiency or any problem in the muscular level or any in the musculoskeletal level. So with the help of this, we can identify everything. So field testing. So normally in field testing we perform many tests, but it also depend on the sports also. Like, move to next slide.
मैंने म्यूट कर रखा है। कैसे देखते हैं मुझे नहीं पता।
Dr. Soumya, can you able to my screen now?
Yeah. Okay, fine. So there are what are the risk injuries? There are many factors which are responsible for the injuries in an athlete. Like if you see in the screen, there are some internal risk factors which are responsible for the injury in athlete, like age, because some some high contact sports injuries they normally play up to 30-35 years of age, because after certain age the recovery process gets slowed down, right? So it also causes the injury. Then body composition, there are, as you know, that there are three component of body composition: ectomorphic, mesomorphic, endomorphic. So it also depends upon the sports also. So anthropometric measurement, any changes in the anthropometric parameters in an athlete, it also affect the performance level. Then if there is a previous history of injury, and normally examination of physical fitness, like if there is changes in the cardiovascular endurance or agility or drill power, definitely, and also causes the injury in an athlete. And there are some external factors, like if the player external factors like if the athlete doesn't wear, if he or she doesn't wear a proper equipment, the protective gears during the training or injury competition, it also causes the injuries, right? So there are many factors which are predisposing factors which are responsible, which are actually the main response for the injury in an athlete. So can we move to the next slide? One of our boxer we are taking is almost an monthly report, annual report. There are various parameters we're actually monitoring or recording on daily basis. So like this is the baseline. This is the resting heart rate of a player, right? So we're taking every day. We're just monitoring his every.
Dr. Soumya, आप mute हो गए थे.
Can you hear me? Yeah, am I audible to everyone?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the resting heart rate values of an athlete, one of our boxer, a national boxer. So we are just monitoring and taking his resting heart rate for daily basis. So if you can see the graph, initial days the resting heart rate was around 62, and gradually it goes down. So during the like 58, and this is the lowest value, when the heart rate was around 58, that time he was just before the competition period. So normally what happened, when you start the training of an athlete before the competition, like 1 week or 2 weeks ago, that time their heart rate get reduced, their resting heart rate get reduced, or to enhance the cardiovascular endurance. So with the help of this value, we can predict, or we can find out that their wellness. Like if the resting heart rate get fluctuated, sometimes resting heart rate get increased up to 80, 85. That time you can get to know about that the player is not taking proper rest, or the recovery process is not good. So with the help of resting heart rate, this is just one of the simple parameter. With the help of this, we can get to know about his wellness, his sleeping pattern, his recovery, and all. Can you go to next slide? Next, this graph actually shows there are various. These are the cumulative value of various boxers. Yeah. So one of our, this is not the value, one of our renowned Olympic wrestler, we did some musculoskeletal examination and some fitness testing of his in August 2019, and then we did the same examination out in October 2019. So we can see the significant difference in their values, because VO2 max training, we normally perform this test in a treadmill. So with the help of this, generally the reference value, the best VO2 max in international level, it goes up to 55. But that wrestler, his value was around 53.2. But when he just make a plan, we just plan his training program. We we take him to one of the high altitude training center. After that, we get we did the same exact test, fitness of an athlete, and we find out that the value significantly improved, around 61.2. So these are some of the tests These tests are basically performed inside the closed environment. We basically did in the clinical setup. And some of the tests you can, if you see in the, like in the sprint test, other tests like isometric strengthening with the help of dynamometer or normal strength testing, we can also perform in the field testing also. So these are the some tests we have performed, we performed in clinical setup also and in the on-field testing. So with the help of this, we get to know about their their strength values, their endurance value, their cardiovascular endurance value, their RP values. Next. Yeah. See, it also depends upon the sports, because in high contact sports injury, these values I took from the one of the recent articles, because and these values are implicated on the mostly in the high contact sports like boxing, wrestling, and like martial arts and all. Because other sports like archery, shooting, these are not high contact sports injuries. So chances of injuries are very less in these sports. But if you take the example of only high contact sports injuries, so these are the some percentage occurrence, the chances, percentage of injury, most of the injuries in this game, like most like 28 to 52% per year happen in these injuries. Over these injuries, because happen because most of the time player they get injured, they're still doing training, they are under the rehabilitation, but they're not following the proper rehab or something like that, under the influence of coach, or also or because lack of proper training, they do overuse their muscle activity, their muscle. So this also causes the injury. Almost 20 to 30% of chances of overuse injury causes. Sometimes muscular strain happens less, because normally, as you all know, that in elite level players, they always taken care of the flexibility. They always maintain their fitness level. So strain is very less, but strain is mostly happen during the time of competition only. Because what happens, sometimes players they didn't do proper warm up, because always in our sports, when you go to the any international or national tournament before competition, at least before if they do at least 20 minutes of warm up before going to the competition. So if they didn't do any kind of warm up of, or they don't have any good recovery, in that case the chances of strain is more. Contusion is mostly happening like boxing, sometime in wrestling or other sports like in football and all others high sports. And so contusion, so you also make some assessment chart like concussion charts and all. So contusion is very less, but it mostly happen in the on high contact sports injuries, on 8 to 25%. And fracture is happen mostly either in, not I never seen in any boxing or in other game, but yeah, I saw the dislocation, subluxation in boxing and wrestling. Yeah, mostly dislocation happen in wrestling only. Fracture mostly happen either in high contact like football and soccer and all. Can you go to next slide? I'll keep it short, okay? So yeah, in musculoskeletal assessment, there are three components. Mostly we just taken care of it, like we just in on-field examination, there are various parameters we have to check, but there are the basic three parameters we need to check during the assessment, like posture, mobility, and movement control. Next slide. Yeah. So I'm just mentioning 2 points, but there are many points we need to take care of. We need to check during the examination, like shoulder posture. It also depends upon games to game, because if you see the posture in an athlete, like in other game like archery or in shooting, they mostly their posture in stoop posture, or mostly their shoulder get rounded shoulder, because holding the bow and holding the gun or rifle in that posture, the mostly their pectoral muscles get affected. It mostly, so because of the hypertrophy, their shoulder becomes that rounded shoulder, their scapular muscles are weakened. So in that case, we need to check the shoulder posture, like the level of the scapula, level of the acromion process, then the angle of the and then yeah, then hello, can you hear me? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah, you
sir.
are audible.
Dr. Soumya, आप audible.
So yeah, so shoulder is a very complex joint, but we need to check the glenohumeral range, the scapular movement, everything. In iliac crest height, like it see it also depends. Sometimes people in other sports like player get injured, they injured their sacroiliac joint, or they get mostly their low back injuries. So in that case, their iliac crest, no, it doesn't cause the iliac crest, it changes the iliac crest height. But yeah, we need to take care of, we need to check that the what is the horizontal, took the measurement horizontally, we took the measurement horizontally of the iliac crest, both SIS. So we get to know about the alignment of the orthokinetic alignment of the joint. Next. Shoulder mobility, normally, first of all, we check the general range of motion, active range of motion, because if the patient if the player is having pain or something like that, we generally don't do any kind of examination. Yeah. So shoulder mobility, normally we ask the player to just hold a bar or something like that, and we ask him to just lift it up overhead. So we get to know about the range. So if he or she can do easily without any difficulty, so we give him high score, maximum score. So if and then again we just change the resistance. If he perform the perform the complete range, or if he just cover the complete range, then we just give the scoring system. But the scoring system is mostly depend upon the range of motion which athlete can actively do. Yeah, next. Yeah. These are the some Thomas tests. And you all know that to examine the iliosoftness, or like a psoas major tightness. So we generally ask the player to just lie down and just take his knee to opposite chest, and to get to know about there is tightness on the opposite iliopsoas or not. Because if there is tightness on the iliopsoas, it majorly affect the kinematic chain of the lower back, upper back, because it's completely a chain of biomechanics. So any tightness in the lower limb always affect the stability, strength of of lower extremity. And it's a biomechanics. Obviously, it also affects the upper extremity movement, upper extremity strength also. So this is a modified Thomas test. This can we can also do it passively also, if the patient and if the athlete unable to, if he or she doesn't perform actively in that case. Navicular drop test is a common test we do in the athlete, because ankle sprain is common injury happening most of the game. So navicular drop test, so sometimes recurrent ankle or ankle sprain, or and normal ankle instability causes the flattening of the arches, and it causes, and because it's a biomechanical fault, it basically causes the navicular drop. So with the help of this tool, not tool exactly, we ask the player to stand in an erect position. We just measure the navicular height. So if there is changes or discrepancies in the navicular height between the two legs, so we get to know about that which ankle got affected. So after that, we can plan the rehabilitation program for the player. And with the help of navicular test and drop test, we can also ask we also do the some balance and proprioception testing test. So for just to make sure that what is so is there any balance problem or not, or it's a complete like it's a weakness of the lower limb, or any foot or any deformities, any muscular weakness in the lower limb or not. Next. Yeah, functional and movement screening. It's an FMS screening. Normally, it's a 7-component testing tool. So normally, what happens? We ask the player to hold the bar, and there is, you can see that there is one object is there where we perform the 7 tests. So with the help of this test, we can get to know about his pelvic tilting, his stability of the core muscle, his shoulder muscles mobility, scapular mobility, and trunk stability. It's a very easy step. So with the scoring system, the score is the normally scoring give from 0 to 3 value. If the player is unable to perform, or if he or she perform easily without any deviation, in that case we give 3 score. If there is a pain or something like that, if he's going to perform properly, or if he cannot hold the position for 1 second also, that time you give the score. So subsequently you give the score accordingly. As you all know, the Trendelenburg test, just to check the adductor muscle weakness on the opposite side, to check the strength of the pelvic muscles and pelvic girdle. One leg stance to check the balance, and vertical drop jump. Normally we call this vertical jump test, with a vertical jump test to assess the strength of the lower limb, particularly for the calf and gastrocnemius. So normally ask the player to just we just make a mark on the wall and we perform 3 repetition tests, perform 3 times. So with the help of this, we will get the exact value, what is the state of the muscle of the lower limb. Next. See, now this is the key component we actually assess every month. Normally, generally we do this testing almost every month. So these are the 5 components like muscular strength and power, cardio. Hello, am I audible? Yes.
G Dr. Soumya, आप audible है.
Yeah, so there are 5
Yes, sir.
components actually. We mostly just do the during the assessment, like muscular strength and power, aerobic endurance, that is cardiovascular endurance, flexibility, speed and agility, and coordination and reflexes. Next slide. Yeah, so for muscular strength, normally the reference value or the baseline factor which have taken that repetition maximum. So an RP scale is a rating of perceived exertion. Means this is the 10 scoring system when we ask the player, like if he or she did the training today, so what is the value you want to give, like, or you want to give. For example, if you perform all the tests without any exertion, that time we give him 10 score. And if he find any difficulty or tiredness, so it also depends on the scoring system. So you generally show the chart to him or her, so she or he can just identify that what is the scoring, how much he or she gets tired during the time of training. So there are some, I have just mentioned few tests because we don't have time. So upper extremity, now for upper extremity measurement of the muscle strength, we use dynamometer, and that's a portable dynamometer, which actually gives the value of muscle strength in force in newtons. But sometimes there is some also, it is not very reliable or validful factor tool. So we ask the player to do the active exercises so that we get him about the strength. So normally we ask the player to bench press normally. So initially we just put some weight, then in the last phase we just ask them we just put the maximum weight, and we ask them to do just one RM. So we get to know about that this is the maximum weight they can just do the loading exercises. Similarly, the pull-ups, how many it also in pull-ups we just monitoring the repetitions. Similarly in push-up also. In lower extremity, similarly we just use the weight, we just do the weight, ask the player to do the weight training, and we get to with the help of this we monitor that what is the strength of the muscle by repetition maximum, the maximum weight, how much weight they can bear, or how much weight they can do how much weight they can do the exercises. And for back strengthening, generally we do the plank, and we just with the help of plank testing, we just measure, or we just we just get to know about their core strength by just measuring their holding time and all. Sonentence test is you can see the image. It's very difficult. Generally don't prefer to do in athletes. So with the help of this test, we just ask the player to do maximum repetition back extension. Like generally player do 5 to 10 times. So after that they get fatigue. They started feeling fatigue. So in that case, the maximum repetition will give the exact value. Next slide. Yeah. For aerobic, there are 2 kinds of aerobic endurance and anaerobic endurance. So for cardio, so this is the main key component, because endurance is the most key component in any sport. Generally, if you high contact sports like in boxing or wrestling, generally it's a 6-minute game, 3 minutes each between the period they gave the gap. And it's a boxing, it's a 9-minute game. So cardiovascular endurance, aerobic endurance is much needed because it's a glycolytic activity. We need more energy from that. So so generally perform 20-meter shuttle run test. In 20-meter shuttle run, we keep 2 cones Hello.
Ji, Dr. Soumya. Kindly mute yourself, everyone. Ji, Dr. Soumya.
Yeah, with the help of the, now can I proceed?
हाँ जी, Dr. Somya, please.
Yeah, yeah. So with the help of this beep test, we just assess the cardiovascular endurance in athlete. So it gives the value of VO2 max. VO2 max means there is two types of endurance, aerobic or anaerobic endurance level. So with the help of this, we can also assess their anaerobic endurance also. Next. It's a very simple test. We only perform sit and reach test in an athlete. So we are just make a box and we ask the player to just sit and just ask to, and tell them to just reach as maximum as. So we get to know about the flexibility of the lower extremity and upper extremity. So in this box, if you see in the picture, we just make a scale like that and just we just measure the value how much he or she can reach up which mark. So this gives the flexibility value, but there is some some conflict also because we also perform this test in obese players also, like a heavyweight player, and we found out that their flexibility are comparatively more than normal athletes. So, but yeah, this test is very reliable as compared to other tests. Next. For agility test, we normally do shuttle run test. In shuttle run test, we just place four cones in four different places, and we just ask them to run or to from one cone to another cone. So it's like kind of shuttle. You see, the player has to move from one shuttle to another shuttle and just complete the complete all the covered all the distance in that duration of time. So we just calculate the time. So we just ask them to perform from 3 to 4 times. So the cumulative value will give us the actual value that how much time player has taken during the time of running. So we just give him commands. See, like there are four cones A, B, and C. So first of all, we tell him to just start from cone A, go cone D, then cone C or cone B. He has to come back or then go back again. So with the help of this testing, we just take this speed and agility. Similarly, the Illinois test. In Illinois test, we just keep 8 cones in this manner. So the player has to move in zigzag pattern, and each cone has to be placed in a gap of 3 meters, and the remaining cones are placed in 10 meters. So with the help of this, just we find out we just monitoring their agility performance, their speed also. And similarly, agility t-test is one of the common tests we did in the sports. Similarly, we just put place three cones in a horizontal pattern with a gap of 5 meters and ask the player to just run and just first go to cone A, cone 1, then move to cone 2 or cone 3, then again come back. We just perform this test repeatedly for 3 to 4 times. So with the help of this t-test, we get to know about their agility, performance. And so mostly the commonest for agility performance, mostly we do agility t-test only. So these are some common tests we perform in on field because we hardly get time for during the testing because there are many players in the team in national camps. So we have to perform all that tests together is very difficult. So generally we just for particular component we generally keep single test for that. For example, speed test we only do shuttle run test. For agility we only prefer to do only T test. Yeah, next. Yeah, this is the last step, coordination, because balance is the key component of the sports in any sports. Your lower extremity strength is actually maintain the balance. It's actually much needed in every sport. So this is a start. Normally, first of all, normally after rehab, when we start the rehabilitation before RTP, return to sports. So normally we perform first single leg stance or single leg balance for proprioception balance testing. This testing is generally performed when the player is in complete good condition. He's doing training regularly. So in this case, we just make a star-like structure, like with the help of we just mark in a star-like pattern, and we ask the player to just move his one lower extremity in different direction, posterolaterally, anteriorly, then laterally. So and the another foot should be in a stable position. Means we just tell him not to just lift his heel. So in that case, he has to move his. He just has to. We just make sure he should not um, just he should cover all the direction. He should touch all the points. So with the help of this testing, we just get to we just access the proprioception performance and their proprioception, their balance testing. Done.
Thank you, Dr. Soumya. That was a really
Thank
exemplary
you.
and elaborate explanation. Now, I would like to send questions, take from the audience also. So, I'm taking from the chat box. Uh, Dr. Soumya, first question here in the chat box. One of our participants asked that any hazardous of on-field testing assessment in for the body?
Pardon? Sorry, I didn't get you.
Any hazardous of these on-field tests for the body?
Yeah, just a second. My internet is working properly. Just a minute. Yeah. See, it also depends. Hazardous because generally, normally we perform this test in the closed environment. In the normally in. Just, hello.
हाँ जी, Dr. Soumya, सुन रहे हैं.
In the like in normally in the like in IGS Stadium, for example. So the drawbacks of this testing are basically if the player sometime what happened, the player doesn't have any idea or he doesn't aware about his injuries. So during this testing they get injured. So regular proper monitoring and uh, proper monitoring is much needed during the time of performing testing. And like mm, also it's a climatic condition also sometimes it's very difficult to perform the online test, so field testing. So there are not, I think there are few drawbacks which are actually, but yeah, so we mostly we just take proper care during the performing this test.
Thank you, Dr. Soumya. Dr. Soumya, one more question. As we know, this pandemic is going on, so everything is shifted from the क्या कहते हैं, offline to the online. So can we basically do these tests on online basis also? Like you asked to perform a
Currently,
person to
what
do.
happened actually, see, yeah, currently everyone knows that there is some restriction happening in the pandemic situation, but yeah, most of the national camps are not going. But yeah, we are still we are monitoring our athlete on daily basis in the Zoom call. Yeah, we can perform this. We can do some testing because some testing like cardiovascular testing, other testing we need to proper monitoring. But remaining some of the tests we can do in online also.
Right. Um, Soumya, one more question from the audience is: are these on-field tests? Are sports specific also? Hello.
Yeah,
Can you
obviously
hear
there are
me?
some yeah, absolutely. Because every game has their different requirement. If you see other sports like archery, shooting, or some other badminton also, yeah. And if you go other high contact sports like wrestling, boxing, or martial, anything else, so it's sport specific testing. So normally in archery or shooters, we only test their upper extremity strengthening and balance training only. But remaining game we perform all the tests. So obviously
Right.
the testing should be sport specific always.
Right. Thank you so much. Last question from the audience. There is any like effect on mental health of the fitness level?
Yeah, obviously. Physical activity always improve their cognitive thinking and behavioral pattern. Yeah, obvious. Because it obviously, because regular physical activity or fitness reduces the stress level, it reduces the tiredness, and it makes the athlete or makes the person more attentive, more physically fit. So it's complete. It also changes it helps to improve the physiological changes also. So obviously, it's always that physical activity always improve our mental ability, our mental strength, our academic performances. So it's overall, improve overall everything. Just
Yeah. Dr. Soumya, one question which is away from this topic, which is something a little bit personal, away from this
yeah,
topic.
please.
Right. So, as you're working in various national and international tournaments and training camps, and you got highly skilled in sports rehabilitation, and you have very good confidence and exposure to. So, I'm asking that what is the role of DCIP behind it, behind your skills and your confidence to perform or go for their passion?
Yeah, obviously my colleges, my faculty members always helped me a lot during my bachelor tenure. Obviously, this is actually improved my confidence level and my clinical skill. And earlier during the initial days of college, obviously every student, I was not very attentive. Yeah, but yeah, my faculty always helped me. They motivate me during that time. So actually, it changes my outlook. And yeah, it helped me during my working station also, during wherever I posted or whenever I go. Yeah, so overall, my I just want to say that my faculty members always help me. They motivate me, and it just changed my personality, my outlook, my knowledge towards everything, my approach towards the clinical skills and all.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful of your session. Very knowledgeable. At last, it was such a pleasure having as a esteemed resource person like you here. On behalf of BCIP, I would like to thank you so much for
Thank you so
enlightening us and making us more knowledgeable as we are now. We get more knowledge. Those who is still I'm concluding this session. This is an I'm telling you this. Those who are not subscribe our channel yet, BCIP officials on YouTube, kindly subscribe. Our alumni also. Here you can get more information, more knowledge, and so many new things done in DCIP. And for the our participant, our next topic of webinar is nerve tension test. Register soon. That is that topic taken by Dr. Neha from AIMS. That would be held on 25th June 2020. So thank you all viewers. Thank you, Dr. Soumya. It was very, very well explanatory session. I will very thankful to you. आपने अपना इतना कीमती वक्त हमारे लिए निकाला. And on the behalf of BCIB, we are very appreciate your effort. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Soumya. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.